The Willow Creek Springs community potluck was in full swing, a lively mess of clinking dishes, overlapping chatter, and kids darting through the crowd like fireflies. The air smelled of warm casseroles and fresh-baked pies, the kind of cozy comfort that makes you feel at home. But that warmth shattered in an instant with a scream raw, piercing, and gut-wrenching. It cut through the noise like a knife, freezing every heart in the room. That scream belonged to Emma, 7 months pregnant and glowing with hope until that moment. Her father, James Harper, a man who'd spent his career unraveling the chaos of explosions and chemical disasters, felt his blood turn to ice. He knew that sound meant something unthinkable. James spun around, his instincts kicking in before his mind could catch up. His eyes, sharpened by years of sifting through wreckage, scanned the packed community hall. Emma was stumbling back, her hands clutching her chest and swollen belly, her face twisted in shock and pain. A heavy ceramic tureen lay overturned at her feet, its contents a thick, steaming red liquid that looked like tomato bisque splashed across the white tablecloth and, worse, clinging to Emma's floral maternity dress. The steam rising from her soaked clothes carried a sharp, peppery sting that wasn't right, not for soup. Standing nearby, frozen for a split second with a look of smug satisfaction before it morphed into fake horror, was Linda Grayson, the HOA's self-proclaimed queen. James caught the shift in her eyes, the way they darted to gauge the crowd's reaction, not Emma's agony. His gut screamed. This was no accident. The room erupted into chaos. James pushed through the stunned crowd, reaching Emma just as her husband, Noah, did. Oh God, hold on. Noah's voice cracked, his face ghostly pale. Emma was sobbing, her body shaking as she gasped. It burns. My baby. It burns. Her hands hovered over her belly, trying to shield the life inside. James's mind, trained to dissect disaster, took in the scene in cold, hard snapshots. The soup splash pattern, too focused to be a random spill. The intense heat still radiating from her dress. The unnatural, chemical bite in the air. And then he heard it. A venomous hiss Linda had spat just as Emma screamed. Teach her to show up on time. The words lit a fire in James, a rage so precise it felt like a weapon. Emma was rushed to the hospital, her burns severescent in degree across her arms, chest, and terrifyingly, her pregnant belly. The doctors warned that the trauma could trigger early labor, endangering her unborn daughter, Sophie. James stayed by her side, holding her hand when she could bear it, his heart breaking with every pained whimper. Noah never left, his love for Emma a quiet strength amid the sterile beeps of monitors. Back at the community hall, James's investigator brain took over. He called his old friend, Detective Sarah Coleman, and within minutes, the food tables were cordoned off with yellow tape. He examined the tureen, still hot to the touch, far hotter than any potluck dish should be. The spill pattern screamed, intent a deliberate pour, not a clumsy drop. Linda's silk blouse was pristine, save for a faint stain on her cuff, as if she'd shielded herself while directing the liquid. Near the microwaves, James found a crumpled linen handkerchief, reeking of soup and that same peppery sting. It belonged to Paul Whitaker, an HOA board member with a grudge against Emma. James's suspicions grew when Mrs. Larson, a shy neighbor, whispered to him, her voice trembling. I heard Linda mutter, "This'll teach her for being late," right before Emma screamed. And I saw her at the microwave, heating that tureen for ages, looking furious. The pieces were falling into place, but the stakes skyrocketed when James got an anonymous text. Accidents happen. Stay out of it if you know what's good for you. His blood ran cold. Was Linda working alone, or was someone else involved? Linda had ruled Willow Creek Springs like a dictator, her clipboard a scepter, her obsession with rules, especially punctuality, bordering on mania. She'd once humiliated Emma publicly for being a few minutes late to a volunteer shift, her voice dripping with condescension. Punctuality is respect, Mrs. Carter. Your tardiness shows neither. Emma, ever the peacemaker, had brushed it off, but the harassment escalated. Linda barred Emma from the community pool, calling her maternity swimsuit inappropriate in front of everyone. An HOA email blasted Emma's spilled planner as a failure to maintain standards, shaming her without naming her. Then came the chilling anonymous note in Emma's mailbox: "Be on time, or you'll pay the price." James had installed a security camera, but it didn't cover the potluck hall. At the police station, Linda sat in the interrogation room, her expensive lawyer by her side, playing the part of a wronged community leader. Detective Coleman laid out the EVY denke, the spill pattern showing a deliberate pour, the soup's temperature over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, the capsaicin oil and salt that turned it into a weapon. Mrs. Larson's testimony, now on tape, recounted Linda's threat and the suspicious microwave use. Linda's composure cracked. "She's lying. It was an accident," she shrieked, lunging for the photos of her stained cuff, which showed traces of the soup's thickener and irritants. A note fell from her purse, her spiky handwriting clear. "Tardiness is theft. Consequences will follow." The room went silent. Linda tried to pin it on Paul Whitaker, but his alibi held had been arguing about parking rules across the hall when the soup was heated. The trial was a spectacle. James's testimony, backed by fluid dynamics and chemical analysis, destroyed Linda's defense. The jury took hours to convict her of aggravated assault and reckless endangerment of an unborn child. The judge's words were scathing. "Your cruelty, masked as an accident, is despicable." Linda got the maximum sentence, her assets seized to cover Emma's medical bills and a trust fund for Sophie. The HOA stripped her of power, and neighbors, finally free, shared stories of her bullying. Willow Creek Springs began to heal. Emma's recovery was grueling. The burns left faint scars, and nightmares haunted her flashes of searing pain and Linda's cold eyes. But Sophie arrived, small but healthy, her cries a song of hope. Holding her, James felt the weight of the ordeal lift, replaced by love. Emma found strength in Sophie's smile, Noah's devotion, and the community's support meals, errands, a fund for medical costs. Above Sophie's crib hung Emma's childhood sketch, Sophie and Grandpa's Big Day Out, beside a new painting. Their home, with Sophie vying from a window, titled Sophie's Safe Haven. A pressed pansy from the planter Linda had mocked hung in a locket around Emma's neck, a symbol of defiance. The next potluck was different, joyful, open, with new safety rules and a board focused on community, not control. Emma, radiant, bounced Sophie on her lap, her smile catching James's eye across the room. She'll grow up surrounded by love, Emma had vowed when they brought Sophie home. The pain of that day lingered, but it no longer ruled them. It had forged a family and a community stronger than ever, a testament to courage, truth, and a father's relentless fight for justice. What do you think? Could Linda have had an accomplice, or was she acting alone? Should the community have confronted her sooner, knowing her history of intimidation? And how far would you go to protect your family from someone like her? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.